It should start any minute now. So, Evan, maybe as soon as the live stream starts, you could just quickly introduce yourself and then the topic, and then we can begin the discussion.
Yeah, that'd be great. Good evening, Councilman. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure.
So my name's Evan Adkins. I'm a data architect. I run a just solo consultancy where I work with small to medium-sized companies providing different data management solutions. And prior to that, I worked in the public sector, actually building transportation management solutions for different city governments. We worked with LADOT, Miami, Chicago, CTAC. But I came across your profile because you gave a speech last week or the week before at SF Tech Week on Web3 and city government technology.
Sure.
And I'm currently just looking for a way to just stay apprised of current local initiatives within GovTech. You seem very tech forward, very progressive. So I wanted to just talk about certain initiatives that are on your radar, and then perhaps get your perspective on different developments. And I'd be happy to tell you a little bit more about the previous software that I've built in the public sector too.
Sure. What in particular were you interested in?
Yeah, I'm curious what Web3 projects are going on, and I'm curious.
There's no Web3 projects. Unfortunately, I'm the only enthusiast. My colleagues are very, very skeptical, and so they have not embraced this at all. But I think it's a great idea. But my colleagues are not such great fans of it, unfortunately.
Well, let me just give you a little bit of context on the space that I've worked in, and perhaps that will then lead into maybe some solutions that you're familiar with. So I was a founding engineer of a company called Lacuna Technologies, and we authored the Open Mobility Foundation specification. Are you aware of this specification? Open Mobility Foundation.
No, I'm not.
Well, you can Google Open Mobility Foundation, but I'll give you a rundown of what the idea was. This was an open source protocol that we put forward to create a common language of mobility solutions. So assets like curbs, but also assets including taxis, buses, micromobility solutions. And we authored this open source protocol, but offered a private offering on top of it, which gave a web user interface to local transportation departments so they could have transparency into the mobility systems that are moving throughout the public right-of-way, and then have tools to author what we call digital policy, so that these city governments and policy bodies could then author digital policy and have it enforced in real time with the private sector. Basically, the thesis is you have all of these private sector companies deploying fleets of devices. You have these coolers on wheels that are driving around cities. You have micromobility. You have drones down in Austin now. You have Waymos and autonomous vehicles. These private sector companies are using the public right-of-way. The public sector has no tools currently to really regulate that behavior or have transparency into where those fleets are operating. And so we built that tool set out for the cities. We won some contracts for pilot programs with LADOT, Miami, Chicago, like I said. But this was over the past 5 years. And outside of these pilot programs, they really didn't go anywhere. And we weren't able to secure just scalable, revenue through a product offering, really product market fit. And so we grew very quickly. We raised Series A, grew to about 110 people, and weren't able to sustain just the government contracts for that size of team. So we had to shut down. But the open source protocol, the Open Mobility Foundation, still lives on. And I think that this is going to be a growing need. I think that we were just too early in the space. We were in a 4-year lawsuit via the city of LA with Uber in the city of Los Angeles, because if Uber and Lyft wanted to operate within the city, they were mandated to send their device event data directly to our platform in real time for us to process on behalf of the city. And Uber and Lyft, say this is PII, this is private identifiable information. They don't want to give that away. But eventually the courts ruled in favor of the city. But there's just this friction right now because it's a new technology. No one really knows how to navigate it and really how to press against the private sector and work with the public sector, in a partnership for such solutions. But I think that, this is a space that's going to evolve over time. So I want to kind of stay apprised of the progress. And I saw that actually some transportation management company secured a pilot program in San Francisco and San Jose to help digitize the curb and rent curb space out so that you could have, curb rentals go to 3PLs at certain times of day, maybe be reserved for electric vehicles at other times of day. And they're doing this pilot program with the cities. They're actually building on top of our open source protocol that we authored. So I was curious if you've heard of any of these types of initiatives, or if there's anything in the realm of digital policy solutions or curb asset digitization, digital twin technology within cities.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't, but it's actually kind of interesting. I recently been trying to. We have this program called Palo Alto Link, which is a shuttle within Palo Alto that.
I've seen it. Right.
Oh, you've seen it. Okay.
I live in Palo Alto, so yeah, I've seen that around. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You've seen it. Well, what you may not know is that we're losing like money on every single ride, so it's deeply subsidized. And we initially did it because we got a grant from the county, but now we don't have money for it, so it's gonna be hard to continue it for much longer.
Right.
And so I've begun discussions with Tesla to see if, because they need the city to test their self-driving technology and their taxi service, and it could be a win-win where they have a place to test the taxi service, and then it's a win for us because we could potentially get a provider that doesn't cost us so much. Because the current provider
I see. Interesting.
is Nomad, and they have their own cars, their own drivers, and it's dedicated. But the problem is that during peak time, like morning and evening, there's not enough cars, and then it's only certain times a day, not weekends and this and that. So it's just very, very restrictive. So lots of issues, very expensive, and so I've been doing stuff like that, but yeah, it's actually interesting to think about curb space, like renting out the curb space. But
right, like for instance, in LA, a large problem that you have these 3PLs like FedEx and UPS, they're spending millions a year in double parking fees within the city because they have no place to pull up, for these drop-offs. And so, we had discussed it with them in the city, and we think that there's an appetite for them to, FedEx would pay the city some, discounted rate, but then be able to write it off as a business expense rather than, paying fees. And then they would be able to, work with a platform that digitizes the curb and reserves this. But then you need, I think it's just early in this whole life cycle because we need more infrastructure of sensors within the city. A lot of it is just not a mature, space, but it's an interesting idea that I want to follow as it progresses. So I'm just curious.
I think this is a way to potentially to make it a lot more efficient. So, so I think, I'm all for trying to make it a lot more efficient, but I'm just trying to think of, I'm not sure Palo Alto has the kind of volume. I mean, I think it's like LA or San Francisco maybe, right? But
I mean, right. That's what we found as well. Outside of these large cities that we were selling to, there's not really a strong need in the smaller cities at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if you follow, any interesting city infrastructure, digital twin projects, maybe even in other cities that you're looking towards, or
well, we are looking.
You seem to be more into that space than I am really currently.
Well, we were looking at like dynamic pricing of parking. So
sure.
So
okay.
That could be something like that. But I think those kind of investigations are still like super early, so there's not too much going on.
Right. So the main pilots that are top of your priority right now for, I guess, Palo Alto would be the Link program, or are there other ones?
Oh, just kind of solve it, right? Because it's a very popular program, but unless we have a partner like Tesla or someone to come in and help, it's probably going to be discontinued, right? Within a year, it's probably going to be, and also, I don't know if you know this, but the city's losing money, right? So we're losing money. We lost money last year, this year, next 3 years, and so we're kind of broke too. So it's kind of hard to do things.
I mean, I think solving the public-private partnerships is a difficult egg to crack. And it seems like that's where you could have, Web3 token incentives come in and help bridge that gap. Do you follow any protocols that are just personally interesting to you? There
was a protocol
infrastructure space for cities.
Not really. I mean, I saw this protocol where they were like doing Google Maps, like crowdsourcing Google Maps. I forgot what happened.
Sure. Oh, right. Yeah, Atlas Navi, or maybe I've heard of some of those as well.
Yeah. I don't know how they're doing though.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think like you said, I think a lot of it's early It's come with a lot of skepticism. You have a wide range of people that are working in that space too. Because it's such a new technology, you have, grifters that are taking advantage of people, and some of the smartest people also working in the space. It's just a very, very new technology, so it comes with a lot of that instability.
Yeah. What are some protocols that you know about that should be tracked?
So I'm following, they're called Peak, PEAQ. They help because I think a lot of it is, if you're able to tokenize curb space, tokenize parking space, tokenize physical infrastructure in general, you could have, transactions that are done across the network. So Peak is one. But I'm also thinking in terms of, I don't know any protocol solving this, but for instance, the technology that we built around digital policy authoring, I think that's a great use case where you would have this digital policy live on an immutable public ledger so that it would be transparent with the public. It's something that's not immutable because you're putting this policy into place, and you could have that enforced and connect to different systems digitally. I'm excited about the future of that space as well.
So,
but I'm not seeing many protocols. This is why I'm just wanting to talk with folks who are kind of thinking about this space or interested in it in general.
Well, I do wonder if there's a better way to do parking, right? It just seems like it's like right now it's free, but you have to move to different zones at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking to maybe dynamic pricing, but it would be interesting to see if there's a better way of doing it.
Are you currently working with on a pilot program with a solutions provider, or what are you exploring in that area?
It's something that staff's driving. So
I see.
I haven't seen anything yet, but I saw that there's discussion on dynamic pricing, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. I mean, I just wanted to just connect with you to just hear kind of your perspective, or if there's anything that's top of mind, in the developing technology within Palo Alto. Do you know any other resources or blogs, newsletters I could follow to kind of stay plugged into this space?
I think you're ahead of me on this one, so I don't know.
Okay.
I should almost be asking you.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. I'd love if you have any questions, about if something piques your interest, perhaps. I'm always around.
If you see something that might be useful for Palo Alto, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this kind of stuff. So
okay, great. You seem like that. I mean, I just discovered you recently, and read a little bit here and there, but you seem to be. Yeah, I like your thoughtfulness.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, wonderful. I just appreciate the time tonight.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.